So which paper should you use for the interior of your book, and which texture should you go with the cover of your book? And this is going to be primarily with KDP and Ingram Spark. So I'm going to walk you through the matte version first. This is going to be a matte cover. It's a very soft, silky feel to it. You can't see any glare, but you will see, and it's hard to on camera. You really can't see it on camera, but physically there are fingerprints. So that does kind of attract some fingerprints. I mean, it's not super noticeable. It's mostly noticeable like in a black matte cover. You're definitely going to see those fingerprints a lot more. And then this is going to be your glossy cover. So you can see, like, if you think that you're going to do a lot of, TV, video, podcasts, things like that, glossy might be something that you might want to steer away from, but that's up to you. Nonfiction, fiction, you will both see the glossy for both. More and more for the fictions, I've seen more the matte, not necessarily the glossy. But again, there is no true industry standard for glossy or matte when it comes to fiction or nonfiction. Now, the interior paper, usually you will see the novels have cream paper. So let's see if I've got an example of a cream right here. That's going to be a cream. And again, nonfiction can certainly have cream. It's an author preference versus a nonfiction memoirs. You're going to usually see a lot more of the whites, especially if there are like design elements inside the book. Those definitely lend itself better, as well as photos, to the white colored paper. So here's some photos. That's with a white interior paper. So yeah, so that's kind of the gist of it. I mean, it's honestly an author preference. I tend to prefer the matte. And then in terms of the interior paper, one thing I'll say about the white is especially why you see it a lot more novels having the cream paper versus the white is because the white can be a little hard on your eyes if you read for a long period of time. Mostly nonfictions, they're not usually read in one sitting versus like a novel. You might want to try to read through that in one day. So it's not as critical with the white paper versus cream in the nonfiction. But you can always work with your designer and see both options, cream and white, for your physical proof. But you do have to decide which way to go when you publish, because the interior paper is not something you can change later. You can change the texture of the cover, right? You can go with a glossy or a matte later down the line, but the interior paper you do have to settle with when you go to publish a book.